Hey, it's Steve Ouimette. Part 3 of The Devil Went Down to Georgia. We're going to talk all about the solos, at least the solos that I did, except for the victory solo, and go through a lesson to show how all of that was played. Let's go. Okay, so let's take a look at what we're going to need to play all of these solos. First thing, you want some sort of a vibrato. And what I mean by that is a Floyd, whammy bar, whatever you want to call it. This particular Ibanez has a Godot style tremolo vibrato and locking tuning keys. The one that I played originally was a Kramer Beretta and it had a Floyd on it. And this guitar is set up with 10 gauge strings, D'Addario 10s, just straight up XLs, 10 to 46. For this song, 10s are heavy. When I was doing this song originally, that Beretta was set up with 9s, a 9 to 42 gauge, and I had just gotten done playing for a couple of years in a 70s rock tribute band called Alive, and I was playing Les Pauls and Strats with 11 gauge strings. So my hands were strong from all the bending and playing with the high action. So when I went to the Kramer Beretta, it was really a lot easier to play. And I actually sort of regret that I'm not on 9s on this right now, because the last week and a half of practicing these parts, it's been tougher than I remember. So do yourself a favor, do a lighter gauge string. The next thing is you're going to need some sort of octave divider. And I mean, when I say octave divider, I mean an octave down. This particular pedal is my favorite of all time. This is a Mutron octave divider from the 70s, and this is all over the Devil Went Down to Georgia and other songs actually. But this gives me an octave down, as well as sort of what's called a green ringer, which is something that gives you sort of a zip on top. It makes kind of a buzzy sound, so it's more aggressive. And you definitely want something like this. Now you can do that with a plug-in or any pedal that'll give you an octave down. The other thing that you're going to need is some sort of a harmonizer to get you a minor third harmony above the note you're playing. What I'm using right now is the Eventide H3000 plugin. So when I play this note, you're hearing both an A and a C above that. And that's important for the first solo. So there's that. And finally, you're going to need some sort of a Marshall Super Lead or JCM 800 style amp. Right now, I'm using a JCM 800 from 1981. On the original, I was using a Super Lead from, I think it was a 74 or 75. I can't remember which one it was. But one thing that is really cool is the guys at Mercurial Audio do a great plugin of a Marshall, and it's called Spark. I'll leave that in the comments so that you can take a listen to it and check it out. It's amazing. I'm not using it today because I actually have the real amp plugged in, but that will definitely do a great job. So I think that's pretty much all you need, and let's get started. So the intro of the song has the classic melody line that we all know. It's the way that I did it is I did it in thirds. So the main melody starts up on the 15th fret of the second string, and that's the root harmony. So pretty simple. Once you get to the end, you're doing a dive bomb on the D string and on the E string. And that finishes off the main line. The second line, the harmony, is it's pretty simple. It's just a third higher. So it sounds weird at the moment, but it won't. So what I do there is when I get to the G, when I did it on the original, that second line was actually done with a slide. I punched in and I slid up and down, but for the purposes of learning the song, you can use your hands. It does make it sound cool to when you're doing the tremolo picking up the G string, to slide over to the second and first string and do a diminished fifth for the rest of it. And that's that one. So the first one starts with a big dive. Okay, now the way that I do that is I don't hit the note. I kind of pull into it and I make sure that that string is slapping on the fingerboard. Sort of the sound of if the devil was belching. I always liked it because it was just really aggressive. It was a great way to come in. If you were the devil and you wanted to be intimidating, I think the first thing that you would do is you would just throw the kitchen sink at Johnny. So that's exactly what I did. I've got a minor third harmonizer on, and I come right out of the gate. And all that is a dive bomb and then hitting the harmonics on the 12th fret across sort of the top 4 string. And right when it gets settled to the top again is that trill on the 3rd string, 14th fret. Now the next part of it is a little tricky, and it takes kind of every technique in the book to pull it off. First thing you're going to do is you're going to tap on the 22nd fret, and then you're going to pull off the arpeggio, the D minor. And then the next thing you're going to do is punch on the 3rd string, 15th fret, and do another arpeggio. And nothing is picked. It's just left hand. And then there's a really fast arpeggio. And then you want to go up to a pentatonic. And that's that one. The next part is straight tone, no harmonizer, just straight Marshall tone. And this one, all you're doing is you're sliding up to a D and speed picking that first note. And then you're going into a minor scale. And then we're going to do a pentatonic scale all the way down. And then just 3 notes per string doubled up. So all together. And that's number 2. So this one uses the Mutron octave divider, as you can hear. And it starts out with a big ol'... That's it. You can use your third or your fourth finger for the trill. It's on the second string, 3rd fret. That's all it is. My 3rd finger, and most likely your 3rd finger, is stronger than your pinky. Just gets a little stronger that way. And then it's a diminished arpeggio going right up the neck. So that's all it is. And what I'm doing there is just open and then 3 frets apart each time. And I'm stopping in between each one. It's kind of a gallop. And on that last one, and that's just bends and stuff. Bends and stuff. The bend is 17th fret 2nd string to the 15th fret 3rd string, and then a big bend on 20. And a nice vibrato on 18. And then a diminished arpeggio going chromatically down. And that's the whole lick. And that's that one. So this one is a little different in that it uses a dotted 8th note delay. And I didn't mention it earlier, but you will need a dotted 8th note delay. What I'm using is SoundToys Echoboy, and I think on the original I just used a straight Pro Tools plugin for a delay. There's only one repeat, and it's a dotted 8th note. The tempo of the song is 150 beats per minute, so set it at dotted 8th note at 150 beats per minute, and you will get the effect that we've heard from everybody from The Edge to Eddie Van Halen to Yngwie, and also a band that I was part of at one point called T-Ride. I'm going to leave a link in the description where Eric Valentine talks about a song called Rock and Roll Zombies from Hell, which was on a T-Ride record back in 1992. And there was a lot of use of that dotted 8th note delay. I'll leave a link to Eric Valentine's page so that you can check out some behind the scenes on that record. But basically, I use that for dueling banjos as well. So this one's pretty easy. You've got that dotted 8th note delay on. That's it. So what you're doing when you get to this pentatonic scale is... That's it. And then you go open. That's the whole lick. And just slide up into infinity with that diminished 5th. That's that one. And you'll see that I've got a capo on the 4th fret. Let me straighten that a little bit. You need this because when I was doing this originally, I wanted to do this dive bomb. Well, when you're playing it, there is no open string that sounds that particular D. I mean, I could have done it an octave lower, but it didn't sound good along with his vocals. So, studio technique, throwing on the capo for that lick. And then the rest of it doesn't require it. That's just a bend, a big wide bend on the second string, 17th fret. And then you have the third lick, which is totally standard blues lick. We've heard it, a blues rock lick, heard it a million times. And then the final one is another pentatonic lick higher. And everything has a kind of a exaggerated vibrato on these, because I just wanted it to sound super aggressive. And that's that. This starts on the second note of the scale. So again, all in D minor, and it's doing it in octaves. So the high octave one is just 3 times of that same lick. And then there is a final line that goes to the end. The lower one just plays an octave lower. Three times. And then the high line takes over there. So that is the bridge lead. And this one's really easy. This is using the Mutron again, and it's just 5 notes using that light harmonic across the top note, the 6th string. So again, D minor. Sort of doing a chromatic thing there. And then a combination of sort of a pentatonic, chromatic. That's it. And that's the end of that one. That's the last time you'll hear the Mutron until the victory solo. Solo number 6 is hard. There's not any other way to put it. So here's what happens. You've got sort of 3 parts. You'll see that arpeggio happen a lot in this particular song. So that's how you get into the line. After you do the first arpeggio, you end up with your pinky on the 7th fret of the 4th string. Then you pull off to get an open note. And then you hammer on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. And then you play those last 3 notes. And that sets you up for an arpeggio that continues to climb all the way up to the top. And it's really fast. That one's real tough because you are sweep picking the first 3 notes and then up picking the last note and then resetting yourself to that 3rd string. For the big dive bomb at the end. So that's a tough one. That one probably took me that was probably the longest it took to get any of them right. To get it clean too. Not easy, but just got to work it out. It's totally doable if you just spend some time on it. This next one I'm sort of mad that I wrote because it's near impossible to play. But again, if you practice it enough, you can get it. It's just not easy. It's I was spending a lot of time writing these ideas out before I played them originally, and then I don't know what I was eating during that time, but apparently it helped me get through these things. So this one's really interesting. Okay, it's all swept backwards. And then you have the second part, kind of like that, but just this time it's a... Another one of those dive bombs. So that one is just all back swept. That's pretty much it. I don't know what else to say about that one. It's just one of those that you have to watch your pick so that you're not getting tripped up between the different strings. Sweep pick as often as you possibly can to get those notes fast enough. And when you're doing this part, that's all picked. And then the last part's just a little extra add-on. That's that one. Number 8, solo number 8 is a lot like number 7. It's just sort of truncated. It's a Cliff Notes version of that one, in that you are just using 2 strings for the arpeggios the whole way. The good news is you get 2 times around on most of them. 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those, and then singles. Then 2 more, then a single, then 2 more, 2 more, and then a big super arpeggio, D minor. And what that is that's another diminished fifth. You got the 3rd string 15th fret, 2nd string 17th fret. So you get that kind of ugly thing that happens there, and when you bend up, it cancels out that lower note. And that's that one. This one's fairly simple. So we're just doing a slide down an octave. People had thought I'd used a whammy pedal on that, but I didn't. I just slid. That's number 9. This one's no joke. This one's really hard, and I'm pretty sure this is how I played it. So let's take a look. The first part is just, so you got a chromatic, then an open, a couple of hammer-ons, and then you finish out a pentatonic. Okay? And then from there, you got to skip from your pinky being on the 8th fret to your first finger being on the 14th fret of the 3rd string. So once you get, once you get this note, you're doing a jump. And you're doing a sweep arpeggio. And then I did, which was weird. I don't even know why I was thinking that. And then this is where the punch in has to happen. You could have gone all the way down, but that doesn't work. You can't play it that fast. Doesn't work. What you have to do is you have to take your index finger and then take your left hand over and that one is going to take a ton of practice to get. It doesn't make any sense. I had this muted down here so that it wouldn't ring, but you can see in the video that I punched in there. And what you're really doing is you're just facilitating this finger, right? And then this one. And what I did is at the last 2 notes, that diminished 5th, when you're coming up, you slide into it. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to hit that note. So it's hard to play without. I don't have the mute on here, but that's how it's done. And it's a doozy, but that's how it was done. Solo 11. Solo 11 is another weird one. I guess I just felt like doing a whole tone scale to start this one off. So, whole tone scale. You're starting on a C, and you're just going whole tone all the way up until we get to the hammer-on section. Okay? So that gets you up to the 20th fret. And then you hammer on the 22nd, and you go down in so that's it. but you do it really fast. And again, down here, you have to have this, you have to have something muting this, or else it's just going to be too noisy. I've never found a way to do that particular lick unless you really have your hand muting everything. And the way to get that last little trill, because I mean, you're all the way down here and you want to get up back here. Normally I would have stayed on that last note, but I need this first finger to get back here. So I just do a pull off to the same note an octave lower. And that allows you to have access to that first finger to get back to the 15th fret. One to go. This is a really simple lick. It's just basically using a D minor arpeggio and using that dotted eighth note delay to create some movement. Okay, so that's really all it is. That's really all there is to it. And when you run out of frets, just use your pinky, use your fingernail to continue the notes up. It's a good idea to mute the strings after each note. And that's that one. You son of a bitch, I'm the best as ever been. Flying on the mountain, run, boy, dancing the house, the rising sun. Chicken and bread, bell, being out door. Granny's don't buy no child, no. For the end licks, there's 4, and they were all punched in, if I recall correctly, kind of layered. So I had 2 tracks. I'd play one, I'd play the other, I'd play the other, I'd play the other, so it was staggered. That's pretty self-explanatory. The next one so you're kind of getting a blues with a major third in there. The next one is just... And then the final one is... And again, you want that aggressive vibrato. So this leads us to the final part. And again, this is sort of what we had before with the bridge. And that does 3 times, but now we have an end line. And then I did it an octave lower. Then I do a harmony. Well, all right. That's all the solos. At least that's all the solos I've done on the song. And again, next time we will talk about the victory solo, and I'll show you how to do all the parts. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them below, and I'll do my best to answer if there was something I didn't cover. And if you like this video series, go ahead and hit subscribe and get your alerts, because I will be doing more songs, deep dives on songs that were in Guitar Hero. Maybe I can even talk about Rock Revolution, and of course Just Dance, Call of Duty, the Ghost Recon Narco Corridos that I wrote, and the Crew 2, all sorts of great stuff that I've been fortunate enough to be involved in. I will also do product spotlights, anything from guitars to amps, cables, picks, you name it. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So I'll be opening up this channel quite a bit. So stick with me if you like this, and I will see you next time for the victory solo.